Hello everyone, this is Boricua Binks and welcome back to Let's Play Virtues Let's Reward. In the last epic episode, oh man, we managed to duplicate the Accelavir so that we could save both Quark and Alice, although this woman don't deserve it. And after we all ran back to the AB rooms to play the, AB game, I decided to betray Alice because I was like, well, she's just gonna default to ally, use the extra points, even though Luna was not happy with me about that. It turns out that was the right thing to do because Alice freaking sped run like up in here like Sonic, okay? She ran up in here and voted betray. She would have killed me, like what the hell? But everybody betrayed everybody. It was a hot mess. But let's continue on now and see what Sigma has to say. Alright guys, pay attention. You've probably already all figured this out, but we can't keep going like this. If we don't start being a little more trusting, we're never gonna get out of here. We need to work together. Are they gonna listen to you, dude? I doubt it. I might as well have been talking to a wall. Yep.
My apologies, Sigma, but I need to think on something for a bit. I would appreciate being left alone.
Okay.
I'll be leaving too. Things are getting a little too intense here for my delicate constitution. Sorry.
Dio.
Well, in that case...
It too? Fi?
Yeah, sorry.
Without another word, she turned and left the warehouse. Oof. Man. Dio and Kay quickly followed suit.
See? There's your answer. In the end, everyone's just thinking about themselves. So I would appreciate it if you could not treat me like I'm the only villain here.
But you are a villain.
Come on, Clover. Let's go.
Hold on! I'm coming! Are you feeling okay? I was really worried, you know?
I watched them walk away, Clover practically jumping with delight to have Alice back. Ugh. Y'all deserve each other. Before long, they reached the yellow door and disappeared beyond it. Bruh. Bruh.
Everyone's gone.
You aren't going to leave too.
No,
Are you sure? I chose betray.
I know, but I still believe in you, Sigma. I think your hand must have just slipped or something, right?
Aw. My chest hurt, and when I blinked, I felt something hot and wet prick the corners of my eyes. Luna, you're the only one I love. You are my beloved. Luna, I bit my lip. Before I could think of anything to say, the metallic rumble of the doors closing echoed through the warehouse. You're the only kind soul here. Even Quark would betray us and lie to us.
The Ambidex gates have closed. Round 3 of the Ambidex game will be the Star Round. Star keys are required to open the gates. There is no set limit on usage of the Star keys. The Ambidex gates can be opened as many times as the players wish to open them.
We haven't done that yet. As many times as we want, huh?
Yes, as long as we have the star keys. That means we can keep playing the AB game over and over, too.
That will be a good ending, I'm sure.
Could you show me your bracelet?
Why?
Do you remember what Zero Jr. said?
Yeah, everything got changed now.
As soon as the gates close, your colors get all shuffled up automatically.
Yeah.
So Parent Solo is...
Yeah, I remember. Let's see here. I am a cyan pear. What about you?
I'm a magenta pear.
I wonder what the others are.
They could be anything, I suppose. We won't know until we have a look.
We've got about 80 minutes until the next set of chromatic doors open. So, what should we do now?
Everyone else has gone off on their own.
Yeah, physically and emotionally. I really don't like how this is going. It won't matter how many times we repeat the AB game if nobody trusts anybody else. We'll never be able to get out of here.
Maybe it would help if we all had a common goal. Something to unite our hearts and minds.
Like the bombs? Yeah, but we've already got something like that. We all want to get out of here. That seems like a pretty clear goal to me, but everybody chose betray. Including me.
Well, what if we have an enemy?
Enemy?
Yes, a common foe. Like the person who set the bombs, for instance.
Yep. After coming back from the lab, I told her about the bomb while she gave Alice and Cork the Excelivir. We gotta solve that mystery quick. Yeah, that might work. Let's figure out that it's Dio. If we can figure out which one of us planted those bombs, then everyone else would work together against them.
Right.
But how do we figure out who it is?
Well, do you have any clues?
Clues, huh? Yeah, that's right. The memory card. I pulled it out of my pocket and held it out toward her. Come on, infirmary.
What's this?
I told you, a memory card. It was under the bomb we found in the lab. I think whoever set the bomb dropped it. Because they're an idiot.
Really?
Dio. Yeah. I don't know what's on it, though. We couldn't find any kind of memory card reader.
Oh, I guess we can't really use it then.
No, come on. Think.
Oh, wait a second.
Come
You
on.
know what? I think I might have seen something. Yes, I remember. The infirmary.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was searching the infirmary with Theo and Quark. There was a memory card just like that one.
Then...
Yes, I think we can see what's on it. The computer there should be able to read it.
Alright. Luna and I exploded into the infirmary, nearly running into Alice, Clover, and Tenmyoji. Stupid Alice. Quark was there as well, of course, but he was just as we'd left him, asleep on the bed.
What are you doing here?
I opened my mouth to retort, then thought better of it. I'm not gonna fight with you again, witch! If I really wanted people to start trusting each other, well, real change starts at home. Can't call her out. As quickly as I could, I explained the second bomb in the memory card and how we'd come to the infirmary in hopes that we could discover the contents of the latter.
Okay.
Then stick it in already!
Go ahead.
Right. Just as Luna had said, there was a small slot under the screen, exactly the right size to fit a memory card. Within moments, the screen was filled with what appeared to be random letters. Oh, what is it? Oh, what is this?
6 rows, 22 letters each.
It looks like the odd rows use one set of letters, and the even rows use another set. In other words, the first 2 rows just repeat. Yeah.
Is this some kind of code or something? Huh.
It doesn't look random to me. I think there might be a pattern. I just don't know what it is.
Was there anything else on there? No, it doesn't look like it.
So all we get is this gibberish. Hey Alice, you haven't said anything for a while. What's up? Be useful again, huh?
Does any of this look familiar to you, Clover?
What do you mean?
Have you seen something like this before? Maybe during your training?
Training?
This is...
So you do recognize it.
All right, knock it off, you two. How about you share it with the rest of the class?
Come on. Alice sighed and stretched her neck from side to side. This is why you're still alive, witch.
I believe this is an encoded message from a terrorist organization.
What?
They call themselves the Myrmidons.
Huh. Myrmidons. For some reason, I felt like I'd heard that name before. Yeah. Good old Dio.
What are the Myrmidons?
Put simply, they're a bunch of thugs who are trying to destroy or dismantle most of human civilization.
So this thing we're looking at, you think it's theirs?
Well, they have a number of different codes, but I do think this is one of them.
Then the bomb? It was set by one of the Myrmidons, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, I can't say for sure, of course, but it seems likely.
Damn, I have got a ton of questions for you. But let me start with this one. What the heck does that thing say?
I don't know.
What?
How am I supposed to decode it? I don't have the key. Without a key, it would take literally hundreds of years to decode.
What about you, Clover?
Well, if Alice doesn't know how, I sure don't.
See.
Not much we can do then. We can come back to that code stuff later. I've got another question. Alice, Clover, who the hell are you? Why do you know about this code?
That's...
You told me your job was to eliminate enemies of the state, or something like that. Just what the hell kind of a job is that? Like CIA or something. I think it's time you told us what you do.
Sorry, but I can't.
Why not?
Because you might be one of them. You might be the person who set the bomb.
That's idiotic. Of course I'm not.
Really? And where's your proof? For all I know, you're my enemy. I can't tell you anything.
I'm not your enemy. I'm your ally. I'm your friend. I just want all of us to get out of here. Poor Sigma. Just please tell us. Please. We need to find out who did this so we can all escape. But we have too little information. We need your help. Fine. If you won't tell us about yourself, then just tell us about the Myrmidons. What else do you know about them?
I'm sorry.
Before I could blink, she'd leapt up and run out of the room. Oh, great. We already know a little from Dio. Hey, wait! Alice! I took off after her. Again. How many times am I gonna have to chase you? Oh, the garden again?
How long are you going to keep following me?
Until you tell me what you know.
Then why don't you just ask Clover?
Clover?
You already know she works with me.
Well, yeah.
Then why don't you...
I wanted to hear it from you.
Why?
I already got Clover's ending. That's a good question. Remember the crew quarters? Or this garden? We got paired up for 2 separate rounds. You betrayed me both times. That means I've spent more time with you than anybody else here. Maybe that's it. I guess I'm just curious about you.
What are you talking about?
Now she's all flustered. She spun around to hide it, but I caught a blush of red on her cheeks. Romance her so she doesn't betray you again. We walked down the path to where it ended next to the pond. The only way to soothe a witch is to woo her. I stayed silent. Alice sat down on the bench. We gazed at the smooth surface of the pond for several long minutes before she began to speak. Come on. Oh.
You don't hate me?
What? Why?
I tried to kill you.
Yeah, you did. You mean in the AB game?
Yes. I was so scared. Who wouldn't be? Kidnapped and locked up, forced to play some sort of bizarre game. And then we found that bomb. I know I probably sounded calm, but as soon as we found that thing, all I wanted to do was run away from it as fast as I could. Things just went downhill from there.
And honestly, I say she's a witch because she kind of is. But a real person in her situation would definitely react the same way. That instinct of self-preservation is really, really strong, you know? And it's hard, like, if we were in her shoes, would we really be kind and sweet and willing to take risks by allying all the time? It's hard to say, you know? What do you mean?
I remember hearing that Quark had collapsed and running to the infirmary with everyone else. When I got there, I realized I couldn't understand what anyone was saying, and everything looked... I don't know how to describe it. It was like watching a video on fast forward, only it was real. Then I started to feel like... It's hard to explain. I guess you could say I didn't feel like I was myself, and it only got worse.
That was probably the Radical Six.
Yes, I think so. I don't remember much after that, but when I woke up in the infirmary, suddenly all that fear was back. So all I could think about was getting out of this place as fast as I could. It never even crossed my mind that it could kill you. God help me, even if it had, I don't think I would have cared. See? I'm horrible. You hate me, don't you? Just do it!
What? Do what?
Kill me! Get it over with!
Girl, what the hell, Alice? I'm not going to kill you. I'm not a murderer like you. I don't even hate you.
You're lying! I could kill you! I would have killed you!
Come on, calm down. No one's killing anyone. A single tear rolled down Alice's cheek. I do love this song so much. Then another and another, leaving shining lines across her face. Weird how her ending is so emotional compared to like Clover's and some other people's. When I reached out, I saw her tense just slightly. Slowly, I brushed my thumb across her cheek and off, taking her tears with it. It's like suddenly they're romantic. Like, what?
Why are you doing this?
I don't know.
You know, you kind of remind me of my father.
Oh, that's who you were after, right? The people who killed your dad?
Yes.
I mean, you know what they say? Like, the psychologist Freud, there's a thing, you know, there's like these complexes, like Oedipus complex, and I forgot the other name, the other one. But basically, he says that all females, when they're choosing their partner, like usually, you know, a male, they're subconsciously looking for someone who reminds them of their father. So I guess you could see this as a twisted romantic thing. But I'm gonna also say maybe it's just, I don't know, she finds him comforting, kind of. Did they have anything to do with the Myrmidons?
Will you promise not to tell Clover that I cried?
Huh, come on.
If you keep your mouth shut, I'll tell you what you want to know about myself and about the Myrmidons. Deal?
Sure. My lips are sealed by your lips.
Really?
What, crying? I don't remember any crying.
Good. All right then.
Alice took a deep breath and began. Here we go. Story time. My father is Egyptian, but my mother is French. They met while my mother was in Egypt on vacation and married shortly thereafter. When I was 3, we all moved to the US. My father was a scientist, and his field was cloning. He was recruited by an American lab, which was why we moved. Oh, cloning, you say? Both of my parents had used English around me from the time I was born, so I didn't have any problems adapting to life in the United States. By my 9th birthday, we'd been there for 6 years. that was when it happened. In the middle of the day, my mother showed up at school. Her eyes were red and puffy, but she didn't say anything to me on the drive home. When we arrived, there were several policemen there to meet us. My father had always been a very punctual man, and when dinner time came and went with no sign of him, even I began to realize something terrible had happened. Aw, she was so young. It wasn't until several years later that I finally learned the truth. My father's lab had been attacked by terrorists, and he had been kidnapped. Oof. For the rest of my childhood, my mother raised me by herself. I didn't realize it then, but it must have been incredibly difficult for her, as a single mother alone in a country where any relatives were a transatlantic flight away. Yeah, that's sad. She did her best not to let me see it, but every so often when she thought she was alone, the mask would fall away, and in every line of her face I could see exhaustion and loneliness. As much as I missed my father, it was those moments that made me wish more than anything that he'd never been taken. Those bastards, how dare they? Kidnapping that poor man. She looks weird like that, though. Actually wearing clothes. Fortunately, I was an excellent student and did especially well in math. I earned a full-ride scholarship straight out of high school and spent the next several years studying. After graduation, I took a job with the Department of Defense, hoping that they might have the resources to help me look for my father. I was immediately assigned to the Special Office of Internal Security. Their purpose is to investigate and sometimes deal with terrorist organizations and other serious threats to the state. I could tell my mother wasn't happy about my decision, but she chose to remain silent about it. Eventually, I learned that the terrorist organization that had taken my father was none other than the Myrmidons, although at the time that name didn't mean anything to me. They were suspected of human cloning. Specifically, it was thought that they had been using cloning techniques to copy their most useful members and expand their ranks. I believe Dio mentioned this in his ending a little, that they're all the same. The Myrmidons apparently believed that they could use cloning to create a new race of humans. Now, at last, I knew the reason for my father's abduction. The commander of the Myrmidons is a man named Left. We know his name and his gender, but not his appearance or his age. The Myrmidons are closely associated with a cult known as Free the Soul, which is very closely related to everything that they say when they're under Radical 6. They gotta escape their body and all of that, so it's really interesting. We believe that Free the Soul provides their funding, but trying to pin any kind of misdeeds on the cult's leader, a man named Brother, is like trying to nail Jello to a wall. Brother is supposed to be fairly advanced in years, and rumors say he's so old he can't even get out of bed. Unfortunately, his mind seems to be as sharp as ever. At that point, I hit a wall. I knew the Myrmidons had been in behind my father's kidnapping, but that was all I could learn about them. Then, one day, I got a tip that some of them were hiding in a building in the Nevada desert. That looks familiar. I headed out immediately. Oh, good old 999. Yes, that was the last scene. And she was wearing that outfit. That outfit's much prettier than what she's wearing now. On the way there, my car had some engine trouble and stalled out. I was trying to decide what to do when an SUV appeared out of nowhere. I'll give you one guess who was behind the steering wheel. It was Clover. Yep, Clover. That was the first time we met. Why are you barefoot, girl? There were 4 other people in the car with her, and when I asked them what they were doing, I got what was just about the last answer I'd expected. They had been kidnapped. They told me they'd been locked up inside of the very building I'd been on my way to investigate, and that they were currently in pursuit of the people who had kidnapped them in the first place. Gosh. I'll tell you what is a shame. Like, out of all the characters in 999, there's a really great bunch of characters there. I've always been really disappointed that Clover's the one they chose to bring into this game. And I was like, oh man, why didn't they bring someone else I like more? Like Seven. Or even Clover's brother, Snake. He's awesome. You know? Like, I would have preferred them. Or even Lotus, man. I kind of like Lotus sometimes. My priorities shifted very quickly. After a short discussion, I convinced them to allow me to come along. My hope was to find the people they were chasing, who I was certain were Myrmidons. In the end, however, we were unable to track them down. We know who they were really chasing. It was, Akane and her brother. In fact, I still don't know where they might have gone. Eventually, I took Clover and her companions to SOIS headquarters. We decided that involving the police would only complicate things. After some questioning, it was determined that the people who had instigated this particular event were not connected to the Myrmidons. No, they had a completely different reason for that. We did, however, discover that the mysterious disappearance and subsequent reappearance of several children 9 years prior was connected to Free the Soul. Ah, that's new. I wonder how Ace was connected to Free the Soul then. There was also a 6th person in the SUV, although they weren't riding in it per se. Hey, Ace! A middle-aged man, who I'll just call H for now, had been bound and placed in the trunk because he's an evil jerk. According to the other 4, he had been behind the disappearance of the children 9 years earlier. Hotaru something was his name. We also learned that his pharmaceutical company, a major player on the world stage, was effectively controlled by Free the Soul. Okay, I did forget about this. More specifically, I suppose, H was a member of Free the Soul and very committed to their cause. Really? So why had he kidnapped all those children? I thought it was because he wanted their powers or whatever. Apparently, it had been part of an experiment designed to test the ability of certain people to access what's called the morphogenetic field. Here we go, it took all the way until this part of the game to even talk about the morphogenetic field. I don't imagine you've ever heard of it before, so I'll try and give you a quick rundown. Oh god, here we go. Simply put, these people can access a sort of field that allows their consciousness to resonate with the consciousnesses of other people. Certain other people. To be honest, it might be simpler to just call it telepathy. The SOIS had heard of this particular ability before, and had actually used it in a number of investigations, so I wasn't surprised to learn of its existence. And we know from Clover's ending that her and her brother have this ability, and that's why they were being trained under Alice to use it. I was shocked, however, to learn that these experiments had been carried out by a member of Free the Soul. If that was the case, then Brother must have known about it. The thought of him discovering a way to control and harness that power was terrifying. It wasn't too long after the incident in Nevada that another tip about the Myrmidons crossed my desk. This time it claimed that the Myrmidons intended to launch a large-scale biological terrorist attack. My bosses decided that we needed more agents to deal with a threat of that magnitude, and Clover was recruited. Because she'd been a test subject in H's experiment, we knew she had the ability to access the morphogenetic field, and we wanted to put that ability to use. After several months of training, she was sent on her first mission. She would be tasked with the infiltration and investigation of a Myrmidon cloning lab. We know she failed. I was assigned to be her commanding officer. I hoped that our investigation might also give me a lead on my father's whereabouts. At last, I had a chance to find out what had happened to him. I wouldn't let that chance pass me by. Perhaps that was what kept me from noticing the truth. The whole operation was a trap. The lab was fake and Clover was captured almost immediately. It looks so silly like that. I got there as fast as I could, but when I arrived, the building was only an empty shell. All of the conspirators who had pretended to be researchers and the like had already fled. I searched frantically for Clover until at last, in a basement room, I found her. She had been tied to a chair, but on the floor next to her was another body. Oh, it was my father. Oh no. He looked as if he'd just been dumped there, and when I got to him, his body was already cold. That's so sad. He was covered in dark, ugly bruises. Poor man, that's years of being tortured. It wasn't until later that I learned he had died from ruptured organs and internal bleeding. Ugh, that's horrible. They had beaten him to death. As soon as Clover had been captured, a Myrmidon in a mask had come to visit her. He'd said that unless she wanted to end up like my father, she would leave them alone and tell her masters at the SOIS to do likewise. In retrospect, they must have known who I was and who my father was. That was why they'd killed him. Perhaps they'd thought they were sending a message to me, or that once he was gone I'd lose my reason for chasing them. They were very, very wrong. I took Clover with me and left. I tried to console myself with the fact that I had at least been able to save her. Sometime later I received a call from the coroner. He told me there was something I needed to see. There in the morgue was my father, cold and pale on a steel table. Oof. I could barely stand to look at him, but the coroner insisted. On his arm were 2 rows of numbers, comprised of 8s and 9s. Maybe it wasn't actually her father? It took me a moment to recognize my father's handwriting. He had carved them into his own skin. On his chest was another message, but they were letters this time, not numbers. Not many, just enough to make a short sentence. I love you, Alice. Aww. I broke down crying right there in the morgue. They were the first tears I'd shed since the operation had started, and there was no stopping them. There would be no forgiveness. Not for the monsters who put my father through this. They destroyed my family. I would make them pay, even if I had to die to do it. That night I made a promise to myself. I would avenge my father. It didn't take long to figure out that the numbers he'd written were latitude and longitude. They pointed to a chemical factory that had been disguised as an abandoned building. Further investigation revealed that it was the mother lode we'd been looking for, the headquarters of the Myrmidons. I think my father must have known how things would turn out. Knowing he was going to die, he'd written the directions to our enemy's fortress on his own body. He'd sacrificed too much for me to waste this opportunity with recklessness. This time, our operation would succeed. This time, I wouldn't let my excitement put Clover or any other of my agents in danger. So we took our time, we gathered information, we did our research, and we planned. Finally, we were ready. December 25th, 2028 was going to be the day we finally set foot inside the Myrmidon stronghold. But then, on the 22nd, only 3 days before the operation was scheduled to begin, A man in a gas mask appeared. That sucks. Like the most horrible timing. Poor Alice. Her revenge was ruined. So you inhaled that gas, passed out, and woke up here in the AB room.
Yes. Well, there it is. Everything that's happened with the Myrmidons and me. I left a few of the details out, of course, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Thanks. That sucks. She gave me a sad sort of smile and stood up.
We should go back.
Not yet. Your story explained a lot, but there's still one big question.
Which is?
Who here is a Myrmidon? One of us planted the bombs. And based off the code we found, it's pretty clear that person is a Myrmidon. Right?
Yes.
And I agree that we need to figure out who they are.
What do you propose we do?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Do you have any clues?
Clues? Well, if I could decrypt that code, it might tell us something, but...
How can we do that?
I told you. We need a key. Without that, it's pointless.
What's a key?
A key is a key. It allows you to sort of unlock a code. Myrmidons usually use this huge string of numbers as a key.
Wait. A long string of numbers? Could that be... Yes. With your amazing memory, we can do this. Do it. Come on, Sigma. 78153610889. Okay.
What the hell?
I was almost as surprised as she was. The numbers had just kind of appeared in my mind, and I was saying them before I knew what I was doing. Come on, do it. Alice looked at me incredulously, and I stared back. Can't help that he remembers everything, okay?
Wait, can you say that again?
781536108... Yeah.
That's 198,449,351 to the third power.
Girl,
That
what?
number you just told me. Prime factor decomposition on that number gets you 198,449,351 to the third power.
You're talking about reducing an integer to a series of prime numbers that you multiply together to get it, right? What? You lost me halfway. I know what an integer is. Like, if you have 30, then you get 2 by 3 by 5, right?
Exactly. You probably learned that in junior high, right?
Yeah. So you're saying that that is a prime? Yeah. And if you multiply it by itself 3 times, you'd get that. God, I hate math.
Yes.
Don't tell me you just did all that in your head. Well, she is good at math.
I did do all of that in my head. Simple mental arithmetic.
What? No way. That's impossible. Sigma.
I told you, I'm better at math than most people.
And anyway, his memory's pretty amazing. That's not better at math.
Look at you. You just recited a huge string of numbers. That seems pretty astounding, too.
Yeah. Some smart people
Where did you
here.
find that number anyway?
I didn't know what to say. What would I tell her? It just came to me? Like a dream.
Can't tell me, huh? Fine. I'm pretty sure that's the key to the code, though. I know the Myrmidons use prime factors for their keys. And there aren't a lot of 25-digit numbers that turn out to be the third power of a prime number. I think there's a very good chance that number you memorized was specifically created by someone.
Did you explain that with small words?
Well, look at the prime factors of your number. 198,449,351 to the third power. I think that's our hint for cracking the code.
Huh?
You still don't get it? Try to remember the code we saw in the infirmary. What did it say on the monitor?
CQ something. I think the first row was... yeah, that. That.
And the second row?
Uh-huh. I think. Then they just repeat.
Wow, you've got a pretty impressive memory.
Yeah,
We
he
could
does.
really use someone like you back at the...
Well, keep going. Department of Defense. How do we decode that?
You use 198,449,351 to point you to the right letters.
How do we do that?
Well, the first number is 1, so take the first letter. The next number is 9, so go 9 letters over from the first one. Then 8 from that one.
Don't
Just
make
keep
me do
going
it.
until you get something.
Please
Make
don't
sense?
make me do it. Please. I don't wanna. I ran over what she'd said in my head. No, I don't want to do it. Do it yourself. The prime number Alice had given me was 198. Yeah. So what would we get if we picked out letters like she'd explained? No! Don't make me do this. Please. The first letter would be C from the top left. No, I feel like they're gonna make me do it. Then you'd move 9 to the right, which would give you O. Then 8 more to the right. Eventually we get a word. Yeah. And that word was... No! No! I hate this. No! Dag damn it. Game. Frick you, bear. Alright, you guys. I'm gonna leave this episode right here. Alright. I know we're so close to the end to an ending, but it's going on pretty long. And I feel like it's still gonna take a little while. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying this. Pray for me. And in the next episode, we'll solve this crap. Alright, so until next time, have a nice day. Bye-bye!